Hey y'all, Brittany here, regenerating with D. As you can tell, my voice is still not the best, and I waited long enough. And so, as I figure out what's going on, it won't stop us from learning and building community. Thank you to everyone who's reached out and given me feedback about episode 1 and 2 and what you've learned, what you look forward to me discussing, what you would like to talk about as I continue to still have IG lives. And so if you're interested in tapping in, please let me know. I would love to connect. So as we've been talking about acceptance, and I know that I've talked about it a lot, it's very important for me as we all learn together to learn something so much that it sticks. And when it shows up, you immediately think about what you've learned. And so when we think about things that we don't have control over, or we have given effort to, and we're not receiving what we need, then you have to accept. And what does that look like moving forward? That is where boundaries come in. And I want to reiterate, like I have on episode 2 and 1, that regenerating with B is for individuals who want to do the work to grow, to evolve. We have homework, including me, because boundaries is something that I need to work on. Boundaries are hard for me when it comes to family, when it comes to co-parenting, when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to my relationship with Chris. As a self-aware person, as a person who's growing and evolving, I still need to heal from what is true, what are facts, what are feelings. And in all of that, remembering that my feelings matter. So boundaries are not for other people, they're for yourself. And if you are in a state of wanting people to seek justice or karma, then you're still operating in your ego, you're still operating in your pain or possibly pride. And you have to do the work to accept, to move forward. So I just kind of want to give that some thinking before we dive in. Boundaries has become a buzzword to where you might want to talk to somebody about something important or a sensitive issue, and they'll be like, my boundaries, like, I'm not doing this. This word has been used out of context and in the wrong settings and situation and circumstances. So I really want to focus on like what boundaries mean and the difference between like accountability and boundaries. And just because somebody wants to have a conversation with you or you're met with conflict, trials or tribulations, it doesn't mean like you set a boundary to avoid it. You have to always do the work to think through things, to be solution focused, to reflect, really taking the time because everybody's situation is different. So just want to put that out there as well. Um, for me, for Brittany, what I've learned is boundaries are about preserving my energy and also repurposing my energy. So one of my biggest things that I'm learning and I'm recovering from is people pleasing and doing things to make people other people comfortable because I don't like to sit in discomfort. I don't like to sit in other people's discomfort. And as I talk through these things with my partner and tell him and acknowledge, again, I'm focusing on me. I can't hold the person accountable for doing what I told them that was okay, right? So, for example, if somebody asked me to babysit their kids and I don't want to, but at the same time, I know that my friend may need a break. Um, they may have something else going on, but I'm just like, I'm dead tired. I'm overstimulated. It won't be fair to the kids. It won't be fair to me. And I can just say no. Or I could also say, depending on who the person is, And the people that I closely surround myself with, like that have, you know, close proximity to me and an intimate connection, we're very transparent. So we can say, no, girl, I have this going on, right? But there are some people who have to just say no to. It's not my problem. I can send them love. I can send them peace. I can send them light, guidance as they figure out who's going to watch their kids. But what I don't want is to give in and watch the kids because my behavior has changed. My attitude has changed. The kids aren't getting what they need. I can just create such a bad energy in the environment. And I'm learning this through real time, like in just different scenarios when my gut's saying one thing and I turn around and do another. And then I'm upset at myself because I no longer get upset at other people. I used to, but people will do what you allow them to do. And people won't know also unless you tell them as well. So creating boundaries goes for anything that you feel like is going to drain you, set you back. It's not for you. And it's not something you're willing to compromise on because you need to preserve and repurpose your energy. It's okay. It's okay to have boundaries with family members, the people that live in your house. Chris and I have boundaries. It's okay to talk about what boundaries are, what they look like, to discuss if there's alignment within the household about boundaries. It's okay to set boundaries with your kids. And this is something that I'm learning um, because I want to make sure my kids have everything they need and they're kids. They're going to take. And I just sometimes get so frustrated and I have to tell myself, what boundaries am I setting? Or with us being very busy as entrepreneurs, working and being providers, if I get stressed out, I'm like, okay, well, Brittany, what is something that you can do for you besides the typical self-care is not boundaries. You can't say, I'm going to go and get a massage and everything's going to be okay. And so if somebody comes at me crazy, I'm going to be fine. No, boundaries is knowing what the line is, what the limit is, what the capacity is, what's the threshold. Uh, and I know that when I get frustrated, like I was mentioning, I'm not setting boundaries. I'm giving everybody full access to me. And I'm also not setting them up for success when they have full access to me as well. So boundaries is about preserving energy and repurposing the energy that we would put into something else, a place, a thing. And boundaries is hard to incorporate into your life. Boundaries come down to, are we listening to our body? Some of us have never experienced peace in a sense of having a moment that felt like everything was exhale, you could breathe, a moment where just everything seemed okay. Some people unfortunately have not had those moments, so I want to honor them. And for those of us, we've had the privilege of having moments like those, whether it's on vacation, whether it's a secret spot, or somewhere, just having that moment to breathe. In order to feel that consistently, we have to have boundaries so we don't put ourselves in situations that set us back from that feeling. Because we all deserve to have ease and flow. And let's be honest, our nervous system, when we think about, and I talked about this in episode 2, about our nervous system, we think about the tightness in your face or your shoulders or just your fingers, or you're just assessing physically how your body feels. Are you relaxed? When something or someone in a situation crosses a boundary, it triggers you in a sense. And you have to do the work to start over, to reset. And it's okay. That might take several times where you're like, dang, I let this person cross my boundary, or I did this, I didn't uphold my boundaries. That's another thing. Sometimes we don't uphold to the boundaries because we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or we're used to a certain type of behavior, or we just been living in this cycle for so long. It will get easier the more conscious you're aware, the more you can hold space for accountability and love and space for growth and evolving, because that's what it really is. Like, when we can make a mistake, even in upholding boundaries, and we're like, you know what, Dan, we messed up. You can take the moment to say, I messed up, but how can I set myself up next time so I don't make that same mistake? All it takes is self-awareness to be on this journey. Because what happens is, if we're not self-aware, if we're not accountable, if we're not in community with others, we allow our vices to ease the pain. But that that easing, whether it's drinking, avoidance, like just ignoring, whether it's sex, whatever, everybody has a vice, and we'll talk about that later, but everybody has a vice, and we'll lean into that before we lean into healing, instead of leaning into, you know what, this is how I could do better. Somehow shame or guilt or defeat has a hold on us, and everything that I share during these podcast episodes are tools that we can use, because it's not like you have an aha moment and you get it and it sticks. Same for me. I am not perfect. I have issues and challenges with boundaries, and boundaries are ongoing. Boundaries can be adjusted, boundaries can be reset. You, as an individual, define what your boundaries are, because you know what you can't tolerate. Same as if you went through a bad breakup or divorce and you share friends with somebody and it's a very complicated situation, the people in the middle, and you and your ex get invited to the same party. And if they tell you, like, hey, we invited both of you, we're not in the middle, we love you both. A mature person, a self-aware person, someone who's doing the work would say, you know what? I don't think I'm ready to be around this person. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm just not ready. Right. And you go on and you do the work. So eventually one day you could maybe be in space with that individual. There are people who are not healed, who are not emotionally mature enough, and they take that as a defense. They take that as an offense. They take it as disrespect that you would invite somebody that they don't want to be around, right? That is not a person who's done the work to set boundaries for themselves, because having a boundary is okay to say, you know what, I'm taking responsibility for this. I'm not putting this on other people. This is what I can control, me not going versus me going and not knowing if this person is going to show up and then I'm angry. That sets me back. Your mental health and wellness is all about moving you forward. What's on the other side of your healing, not setting you backwards. And when we set ourselves backwards, we start to feel like shit. So then we indulge in things that are not good for us, which continues to make us feel like shit. And then we're on the cycle again. And then obtaining healing just seems so out of reach, out of touch, because we find ourselves doing the same things over and over and over. I am here to tell you that I have done the same things over and over and over until I've learned a lesson. It's okay. It's not like mental health and wellness was taught in schools. It's not that most of our parents or guardians had this information because they're learning as well. We don't know better until we learn better, and then we do better. And that's why boundaries are important, because it's allowing you to take responsibility for your healing. I wake up, I won't say like happy, like ha every day. I wake up with a sense of peace and relief to know that I've set boundaries in place with systems, with people, and even with things at times. It allows me to have more of a day of ease, and it allows me to come into situations that I don't have control over with a sense of contentment, with a sense of acceptance, with a sense of peace, because I know that I can only do so much. And I believe in alignment. I also believe, and everyone has their own spiritual beliefs, but I believe for me that there is a higher being that is guiding me through this life, this physical life. And so I also have a sense of peace over that. And I oftentimes now will take things as that was a learning experience. And then there's times where I'm like, that was nothing. That just was life. Um, the way I react to things have been differently. And if I was truly transparent, which I'm not ready to be, some of you would be like, I cannot believe that you endure these type of things. I can't believe you and Chris have had to go through these type of things or have to withstand these type of things. There's a lot that goes into your everyday life that you have no control over, but you have the control over how you show up. But that requires boundaries. Boundaries could be, I'm not going on that girls trip with these girls because I know that I will be mad. I know that I will be mad that I spent X amount of money and went on a trip like this. Versus if it's somebody's bachelorette party that you're close to, you may bend the boundary, right? Like I said before, boundaries can be bent. I mean, they can be flexible. And also boundaries allows you to put yourself first and say, you know what? I've been really needing a vacation. I haven't had the chance to take one. I actually want to go on one with my man. And I hope that we can do something later. Or, you know what? Hey, I can't commit to the bachelorette party and doing something with y'all, but I can commit to the bachelorette party. Like boundaries allows you to make the decisions that make you feel good. Right. And some people can beg to differ and say, like, oh, you don't know how to compromise. You know, if you're an empathetic and self-aware person, I'm sure you compromise more than you should. And I'm sure you can decipher when you should compromise and when you shouldn't, or when you've been compromising too much. I am learning that the way that I contribute to the healing of others is when I heal myself. Because if I spend my time and my energy trying to get others or systems, things, or places in a space of alignment, I can pull back and repurpose that energy into myself and focus on myself intimately on what I need. And then I may discover that what I wanted in that thing, that person, or that situation was necessary. I am learning that the way that I contribute to the healing of others is when I heal myself. Because if I spend my time and my energy trying to get others or systems, things, or places in a space of alignment, I can pull back and repurpose that energy into myself and taking responsibility to learn, to grow, and to demonstrate. Demonstration of what you've learned, how you adapt it, and how you stay consistent is evidence of healing, is evidence of growth. And when you start to see it in other people, you know that doing the personal work is the best gift that you can give others. And it's the best gift in return you can give yourself. Boundaries also looks like accepting capacity for certain places, people, or things, right? Like it can be alcohol. If you know that you can only drink a certain amount in a week because it's not good for you mentally, or if it's not good for you physically, you set the boundary. And if you find yourself in a situation where they're asking you to go out and you're like, dang, this is going to mess up, my goal. And I know if I go, they're going to talk me into it and I'm not disciplined enough, which is okay. You don't go. Or also you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing this and I've set this parameter because I need to? Is it flexible? Assess your boundary. If your boundary is just like, no, this is something that I've committed to for myself, you don't go. I want you to think about one of your closest friends that you love dearly, and they're in a abusive relationship, emotionally abusive. The person that they're with doesn't honor them, doesn't value them, is constantly challenging them, has narcissistic tendencies, controlling, everything you can think of, right? And your friend is distraught. She wants peace. She wants unity. She's tried talking to this person. She's tried therapy. She's tried everything you can think of. And this person just operates in their ego. They may not have the capacity. The root of it is just is unknown. However, your friend is suffering and it's showing physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. What boundaries would you want her to have so she can get better? We're going to stay here for 2 minutes. And I just want you to think about it. Like, I want you to really think about what you would want for her. What does she deserve? What does she need? Or him? What would you want your friend to do? What boundaries would you want them to create? Got 2 minutes. One minute left. Forty seconds left. 30 seconds. All right. So we all have that person in mind, right? Where they're just a beautiful person inside and out. They deserve the world. They're being mistreated. What boundaries should they set? What things do they deserve? What behaviors do need to happen? Right? Like they deserve it all. And you have all the answers, right? Because I know I have all the answers when it comes to my friends or my family that are not being treated the way they should, especially when they're good people. So I need you to take this. If you're on YouTube, you can see my finger, but if not, I'm taking my pointing finger and I'm turning it around to myself. Because now everything you wrote down as what that person should do is what you should do for yourself when it comes to a boundary being crossed. It's easier to say that somebody else can set boundaries and like, oh, it's not hard. But when it comes to us, it's easier said than done, right? So again, this is a topic that some would say, oh, that sounds so easy. Just set the boundary, just cut the cord. It doesn't work that way. We have all the answers for everybody else, but when it comes to ourselves, we know that we love deeply. We were created to love. We were created to be in community. We are created to come together. And that's what needs to happen when it comes to boundaries. You set boundaries for yourself so that you can heal and you can do better. And that way you're not subjected to other people's low vibrations or energy. Those people you set boundaries with, or those places, or those things. And sometimes things crumble. things fail, things fall. And sometimes we need to hit rock bottom to make our way to the top. And some people make it to the top and some people get stuck. Everybody's on their own journey. And we hope that in a lifetime that everybody would come to this side of awareness, of peace. Not to say that things don't happen, that chaos, the trials and tribulations don't exist, because they still exist. But when you have control and autonomy over what enters what you've created as far as your bubble, it allows for you to handle situations that you have no control over with more ease and flow. I hope that this was helpful. I hope this allows you to think. And remember, this journey we're on is for us. It's for us to look inward, outward, for not us to look outward, inward. Because the minute we can talk about somebody else, I know we can sit there and say 5 to 10 things is something that we need to work on. And this journey is always about us. And if we're involved with people who brings that out of us, or places or things, that's where acceptance comes in, and you step away and you create boundaries. Again, like I said, it's not easy. It comes with grieving. It comes with pain. It comes with loss. And a lot of the unhealthy things that we learn is just of what we see. And the more that we know better, we do better. The next time that we come together, I really want to talk about forgiveness. I feel that if we don't focus on forgiveness, then we're constantly always living in the past. This mental health and wellness journey is very tricky, because the more self-aware you are, the more you start to think, you start to question things, you're in your mind, but you also have to be disciplined enough to stay present and look forward to your future. And that can be hard. So, and one of those things is forgiveness, forgiving yourself for what you may have not known, forgive yourself for what you have done, and focus on moving forward. We have the acceptance, we have the boundaries, and we got to focus on forgiveness, because if we don't, we will never truly be present in the things that we moved away from us, that we moved away from, that allow us to operate in moving forward. As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for rocking with me, and thank you for being patient with my voice. Not gonna let it stop us. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, please share them below. Until then, peace and love, y'all.